Hello, everyone. This is Raul Ramirez of the Catch Wrestling Alliance, where we help you elevate your grappling so that together we can keep real wrestling alive. Thank you very much. So this is the first podcast of the year 2025. Welcome. Thank you for your support. Thank you for like all your everything you do to keep real wrestling alive. I think it probably, like, say if you're a grappler, it helps you to implement like better strategies or finding new and innovative ways to attack your opponents when you're grappling. We're happy to be here for you, and let's just keep everything going into the new year. As many of you might know, I'm in Los Angeles, and if you've seen the news or anything, we got a lot of fires burning this time in the city. So usually it's in more foresty areas of California, or more forest woods and stuff. So, but this time it's in our city. So uh, I am kind of within a few miles of the first fire that broke out at the beginning of this week, when we had really crazy strong winds. And I I am not like in an area where my home will, where my apartment will burn down or anything like that. I'm just safely far enough away, but still close enough where power was out and internet was out and stuff like that. So things are stable right now. Hopefully the feed doesn't cut out while we're recording this. Um, but at least the first fire, which was the one just a few miles from me, is, I think, it's pretty much under control. So, or well, it burned all these people's houses, but there's really no chance of it. They're basically like they're more in the hillside and kind of more wooded area. I'm not in the wooded area. I'm more in buildings, like there are a lot of buildings and not so much forest or anything around me. So yeah, it's not going to come down right to where I am. But yeah, I'm definitely really affected by it, because the power has like gone out multiple times. So anyway, just wanted to give you that update. Oh yeah, and then with regards to that, so UCLA, where we're going to be starting our winter classes on Monday, they canceled classes for the rest of this week. So that's their normal academic classes. So as of right now, the start of class on Monday is up in the air. It's kind of like officially like canceled for to start next Monday, but um, we're hoping that we can start. Hopefully, they can get the fires under control enough so that we can start soon. But as of right now, uh, you know, we're hoping, but we're not quite sure. So the fire that's close to me is also close to UCLA. They decided to just like cancel classes and let students evacuate and just be out of the area. So you kind of know where the parts that I'm in and a lot of our students are in. It's close to that original fire, and then the other one is burning around Hollywood Hills. So that's kind of close to the Fight Science gym. This one's more closer to where where a lot of people actually live, as opposed to other fires you hear about happening in California, where they're more wooded, like rural, more more rural areas or whatever. But this is like now in the city, so that's like the big difference. But we're trying to work together to help everyone have shelter and place to stay, and we're definitely going to keep trying to train because yeah, like I said, like say like where I live and where a lot of gyms are and stuff like that, it's not in areas that are going to or have a very high chance of burning or anything like that. So we're still gonna have training going on. We're still gonna be making videos and stuff like that. So I wanted to try to get a podcast out for you, especially while we have internet and power. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get all like I think I made the announcements about UCLA. It might not happen, but we'll probably start soon, if not Monday, maybe the later on in the week or the following week or something like that. So yeah, we'll just keep our fingers crossed that the authorities will allow us to have class at UCLA. Um, but I'm sure we'll be having class at Fight Science if you want to come train with us in Los Angeles. If you want to come visit LA, it's probably like the worst time. Like I know somebody who is visiting it, like just came like the wrong time to visit LA. Um, so yeah, I don't encourage coming right now. Maybe in a week or something, it'll be much better. But anyway, yeah, we you always come train with us at Fight Science MMA. That's in the Mid City area, so just think it's like right in the middle of Los Angeles. And then if you want to support us, just if you don't want to be a student, you can just support us by becoming a member of our YouTube channel. There's a few levels in which you can just support us, which they offer like different videos and stuff that we put out for you. So we try to give back, right? So it's not just asking for money with nothing in return. We have a lot of members only videos on our YouTube channel. Also, too, if you have something to teach and you want it all in one website platform, you can try Kajabi for 30 days, and there's a link there in the show notes. So under our video on YouTube or in the show notes, if you're listening to us on like Spotify or anywhere else, should be in the show notes. Also, um, you can always check out like another way where you don't have to become a student would be checking out like our courses. So we don't only have like a online membership on our website. We have one-off courses, and one in particular is like I use all the time. I won the uh, Jiu-Jitsu World League Pan American Championship a couple months ago. I use this stuff like all the time, especially I want to say the position that people give me most often. I go over in that pressure pass volume 2 course that we have on our website. So I'd highly recommend like checking that one out. It's on our website, pressure pass volume 2. That is stuff I use like all the time. It's like what basically is what people give me all the time. So in that course, you can see ways to attack, modern no-gi defense. So highly recommend you checking that out. It really will support us. So check it out. We made it for you. It works so well. So it works at the Pan American level. Right? So yeah, so it's effective. So we're not just making stuff up, right? We're using real wrestling principles. And that's the thing that's like getting so popular in no-gi, where there's like this demand for wrestling knowledge. And I think catch wrestling knowledge is the highest of wrestling knowledge, whereas opposed to amateur styles like Greco, folk style, freestyle. They're not cognizant of the submissions like catch wrestling is. So um, you'll be a step ahead if you're getting it from a catch wrestling perspective. Okay, so actually, I recorded something. So last week I was traveling, and so then I recorded a video about uh, like different methodologies that might help you, like as a beginner. And so it's basically like a car rant, right? Because I was driving through the desert in California, and so I stopped in Las Vegas. Oh well, in Nevada, right? So I went all the way to Las Vegas, and then it's all desert basically, like from here to Vegas. And so I stopped, and then I recorded something, and so I want to play it for you. And it's basically different strategies and different ways to think about training. If you want to comment at any time, go ahead. Um, And like once the recording is done, if you have any questions or comments, then I can answer them then. So there's going to be a few minutes. It's probably like 15 minutes long. So let's go ahead and get the ball rolling. So here we go. So I'll meet you in my car. So this is the first live stream podcast of the year, and I'm in a car. So I'm living in my car now. No, not just. No, I'm not, but I happen to be traveling, so I'm on the road. So I still wanted to do something, or still wanted to record something, because while you're driving, you think a lot, you get a bunch of different ideas. So I definitely wanted to like share some stuff, and I figured, since it's the first one of the year, might as well talk about, like, say, those of you who want to get started with catch wrestling and get started with training, what you might want to be doing, or what you might want to do for the training. So this one's for you guys. So for the complete beginners, or maybe even people who've been doing other grappling styles, whether it be jiu-jitsu or wrestling, some things you might want to do if you want to get into catch wrestling itself. And so I think one of the main things is that actually, I just saw one of our students at Fight Science. He just shared an old video of ours, an old clip of ours, where he was rolling with this guy who pretty much only had an amateur wrestling background, and our student was able to submit him, right? But the other guy seemed a little more kind of clueless as to, like, avoiding submissions, even though he was a really good wrestler. He came from another state, and he was working in Los Angeles temporarily, so he was training with us. And so, like, it seems like, so from my perspective, amateur wrestling can only get you so far. And I think we've also seen that, like, in professional no-gi grappling, where, like, say, Flow Wrestling has had all these great U.S. freestyle wrestlers competing in no-gi, and then they get submitted really fast, or maybe not so fast, but eventually they get submitted. So I think amateur wrestling can only get you so far because it doesn't have the submission holds baked in the way catch wrestling does. So that would be one other thing. And then the other thing that's like a little bit not so emphasized in amateur wrestling is wrist control. So a lot of times it's all about even shooting in from space, right? So long distance shots, or some scrambles, and or say, like, if you're doing freestyle, you're really not going to be doing much mat wrestling, because you can lose, right? Trying to better your position, you could totally just end up losing on points. You can get rolled over several times, and it just won't work out for you to use, like, wrestling, like real wrestling, or use catch wrestling. So catch wrestling can help these other sports, right? Because you'll be hitting them with all kinds of techniques that they don't really see. So you'd be, like, very unique in that way. But ultimately, we want to try to think of it the other way, right? So either you're new, or you have even jiu-jitsu background, or basically any other background, judo, amateur wrestling, whatever. Maybe some things to kind of think about as you begin your catch wrestling journey. So I would say, first and foremost, you probably want to be working on hand wrestling, or sorry, what is it? Hand fighting. Sorry, hand fighting. Imagine that, all right? So, but anyway, hand fighting. So someone grabs you, how to get your wrist free and gain control over them. So I think that'd be the difference between, say, like, self-defense and wrestling and stuff like that, where you don't just want to break free from someone's grasp, you want to, like, recapture them, right? So because if you just break free, you're neutral again, and so then you have to kind of start from the beginning, right? You haven't gotten an advantage over them. So usually when they grab your wrist, it is an opportunity for you to set up something. So either you grab their wrist back and then you get your captured wrist free, and then you get 2-on-1, so 2 hands on their one wrist, or you can set up arm drags, you can set up your 2-on-1s, you can set up so many different things from the hand fight, right? You can set up all these different types of takedowns. You can basically, a lot of times it's just getting control of them, getting their arms out of the way so you can shoot in for your double leg or whatever, right? That's going to be something really important. Something that's going to be still like an amateur, but not as emphasized, right, as I think it should be in catch wrestling, because it shouldn't just be so, like, I don't want to say sloppy, but it shouldn't just be so from far away, right? You want to try to set things up so you can kind of control someone, right? That's kind of a big, like a big part of like wrestling ultimately, and catch wrestling in particular. It really trying to gain real estate or gain control over your opponent so that you can either take them down, or if they take you down, or if you shoot in and they sprawl, you can still win on the mat. So you can still win the mat wrestling aspect of the match. That's going to be something that you want to be thinking about as like your kind of strategy of going into training in catch wrestling, so you can be more successful in your sparring or in your matches. Right. Another thing then, I think you can consider it kind of like the framework of becoming good at catch wrestling is then the mat wrestling. So I mentioned that a few times. So getting used to the sit outs, the sit throughs, all these different things like the peek out kind of things that you might be hearing. I hear this terminology too when I go to different jiu-jitsu schools, but still not exactly the same as catch wrestling, because again, catch wrestling, like especially how you would learn it from John Strickland, myself, even in Wigan, they're more cognizant of, you know, the submissions, right? Because the submissions have been baked into catch wrestling for many, many decades, and that is like kind of like they're aware of that possibility, because a lot of times not even so much of the submission hold itself, but because like back in the day it was called wrestling holds, right? So these ways to control someone, like say like the double wrist lock, it was considered like a wrestling hold and a way to control the other person, so you can pull them around and hopefully you can throw them down so they can land on their back, so you can pin them. So same thing with the toe hold and whatnot, so stuff to where you can give them enough pain where they can alleviate their pain by rolling onto their back, and you can win, right? So that's one of the main reasons for these holds. So they're not necessarily considered like the end-all be-all submission stuff. It's really the control of your opponent. So that's definitely these things that you want to be aware of, or these are the things that are kind of baked in, or awareness of these counters are baked into the mat wrestling of catch wrestling, which isn't really baked in to amateur wrestling. So you should get an advantage or have an advantage over your average amateur wrestler, or say in jiu-jitsu classes, they are, especially no-gi stuff, like no-gi classes, they are trying to incorporate more like amateur wrestling, like double leg, especially the double leg, right? They always talk about like, oh, if you double leg someone, you're gonna get guillotined, but then like the first takedown they teach you is probably like the amateur wrestling double leg, which I think is pretty funny. But anyway, so you'll see, so like that you will have an advantage over that, right? Because you'll know better, or you'll be more aware of like potential submissions that they can counter you with, right? So so ultimately takedowns aren't the main thing. You can maybe start with the hand fighting, then the mat wrestling, and then if you want to start incorporating some of the takedowns, this is something off the top of my head. So if you want to incorporate takedowns, then
you can totally add takedowns now, but then create a flow, because like what I've been seeing online a lot is that you have a lot of these highlight takedowns, but they don't lead to anything. So like the trips, or a lot of people are doing like foot sweeps or these big hip throws, or these different like judo throws and all that, but it doesn't lead to too much, right? It's very rare that the person doesn't just get tossed and then they're back to neutral. So your goal is to not go back to neutral. You want to actually end like by landing on top of them, by pinning them or passing their guard, or getting some kind of control over them. That's going to be the way you should be thinking about, more than like trying to get that highlight reel throw, because getting a throw is still going to get you that highlight reel video or whatever, but how about like winning the match? And because you don't want to say like, oh, I tossed this guy and I still lost. And actually that happened with one of our students, Cindy, right? So everyone sees Cindy in our instructional videos and stuff, and she had a match against a really good freestyle wrestler, and the freestyle wrestler got Cindy in a chin whip and actually like threw her. Like, it looked great. Actually, it was pretty spectacular, but Cindy still, put on the double wrist lock and ended up submitting that wrestler. So, it's like at every level, amateur wrestling can be teaching somewhat bad habits. Because like another thing that comes to mind from that match, and you'll see it a lot in you'll see it a lot with some amateur wrestlers, because if you push someone out of the ring, especially like in freestyle, you get points, right? There was this one Iranian wrestler in the last Olympics. I forgot what weight division he was in, or even I forgot his name too, because he really annoyed me in that like he was actually expected to win the gold medal. Thank God he didn't, but he just really relied on pushing people out of the ring. So he would do whatever he could to try to close the distance, and then he would really just try to force the person out of the ring and then rack up points that way. Luckily, the other wrestlers from the other countries kind of caught on to his strategy, and they countered him, and so then he didn't get the gold medal, thankfully. But I think he still got like bronze or something. But yeah, it shows like they're used to their rules, and that also happened in Cindy's match against the freestyle wrestler. She started by pushing Cindy out of the jiu-jitsu mat. Said that doesn't count for anything. There's no points. So then you can build up bad habits in that way. I don't think it really intimidates anybody, because I think someone might be able to say like, well, at least you're kind of controlling the ring. You're showing them that you're in control and whatever. It's like, I don't know. I don't think anybody's really thinking of it in that way, because they're thinking about, are you going to submit the person or not? So I think in that way, amateur can kind of teach some bad habits. So ultimately, if you want to be learning catch wrestling, it can give you an advantage over the amateur wrestler. So if you're an amateur wrestler, you can learn a lot of stuff you can use that is still legal in amateur. So it would be great for either, for you to come in and learn, and you can kind of take some stuff that's legal back to amateur, or if you want to just transition to catch wrestling, you'll have an advantage over, say, like your average no-gi practitioner who's like just trying to incorporate like amateur wrestling that's not cognizant of a lot of these holds, right? So then you want to think of that. So it's like you got the hand fighting, then you got your mat wrestling, and then from here, like now that you're starting to incorporate some takedowns, which are like kind of ultimately it's like the least important, then try to create a flow with that. So if you're gonna do your takedown, flow all the way to trying to get a pin. So you want to try to control the person. Like you take them down, like you can do something where it's like maybe they don't resist you very much, but you can take them down, and no matter which way they fall down, you can have them try to not get pinned, right? Try to react in a wrestling way, maybe go to referees, or if you're training for IBJJF or like jiu-jitsu stuff, you can have them try to get you in guard or whatever. And work on still trying to pin them, right? So pinning them a lot of times can get you past their guard, or if you take them down, you can be aware of ways or times when they could try to put you into full guard or any type of half guard or whatever. So you can kind of create a flow. If you're getting, if it's your turn and you're doing the takedown, try to go all the way to pin and so you can kind of find your ways through like the ways they react. So depending on, like, you take them down, they're going to react somehow, and then you can find your way to pin from there, right? Depending on how they react. Or you can then make it a little bit more hard. Once you guys get good at mat wrestling, then you can take them down, and then they're going to fight you even better, right? They're going to try to get back up. So then you got to, just still try to pin them, but now it's against a more skilled opponent. So it's going to get harder and harder. So it should be fun, right? It should be more and more fun the harder it gets. So you can try that way, right? And submissions can kind of come along the way, but try to get that main foundation, because ultimately it's all about control, right? So you want to be controlling them the whole way, right? Each step of the way. So even if you shoot in and they sprawl on you, you can use your mat wrestling to, to get on top or still get the win. So then you can flow in that way too. Maybe you can shoot in first and they sprawl, and then you start from there, right? So you can kind of have those two different flows, or those three different flows, right? So one, you can just take them down and they don't resist you much, and then version 2, you take them down, they resist. Then number 3, you just shoot in, so you dive in for their legs, and then you got to fight your way out from bottom. So you can think in those ways. Maybe that should be a good enough start for you for the new year. So hopefully it's a good one for everyone. Thank everyone for supporting our channel and our events. We're going to be having more this year. So if anybody wants to compete, just reach out as well. So this would be for authentic catch wrestling. So no points, right? Really, you can't stay in guard and have it not count if someone pins you. The pin is very serious and it supersedes the guard, right? So if anybody wants to compete in the real thing, just hit us up. You can message our Instagram or our Facebook, or actually that should be fine. So if anybody has any questions, just put them down below. There's just a few thoughts that I had while I was on the road. So hopefully this helps you out. I think it should. I think it kind of covers a lot of the fundamental things and ways to kind of put your techniques into action, right? Which is the most important thing to help keep this real wrestling alive, right? So I think that these flows should help elevate your grappling, and then so that together we can keep real wrestling alive.
All right, so hopefully that did help. So let me know if there's anything that wasn't so clear. But ultimately, so trying to be more dynamic and trying to figure out, or like trying to go from like techniques, like one-off techniques, and putting them together, finding out when to use them, like when is the right time to use them, when they feel right to be used. Because there's like that old saying from Billy Riley where it's like, if you're in a match and you think of using a move, then it's already too late. So you got to get used to the feel of when to do what, or when you can do which move, and then not even think about it. So it shouldn't necessarily be a cognition thing or like an idea you have in your head. It should just be a reaction you have coming from your body, right? So all this stuff takes time. So, don't beat yourself up. It takes a lot of training, a lot of mat time, a lot of practice. And then on top of that, then if you want to be competing, then it takes some extra time to get good at competing, because that's like a whole different mindset. So, don't beat yourself up. Hello, Teo Griffin. right. Yeah. So somebody commented. Right? So if anybody wants to comment or if you have any questions, uh, like feel free while we're still live. Uh, but yeah, hopefully this helps. And you don't have to be a beginner, right? This can help anybody. And this kind of like how we train at Fight Science, especially at the beginning for the warm ups. We work on that where it's like. Um, you work on getting the takedown, and then you follow the person down, and then you pin them. So the students are a little bit more advanced, can be resisting more, like in an intelligent way, not just like spazzing out. But then, yeah, it really helps you to uh, put everything together to see that it's more than just there's like the fight goes on even if you get that really cool takedown or if you get that really cool foot sweep or whatever, the match is still going, especially a catch wrestling match where there's no points, right? So you have to really be maintaining or like getting control and then trying to maintain that control so you can pin them or submit them. So that's really the way you want to be thinking about it. I mean, I know there's tons of highlight videos online, so people get like excited by the shiny object. Um, but yeah, I personally don't really care too much if there's like a cool throw or a cool highlight, and then nothing happens, and the guy spins out, and you're neutral again. So I don't think that like I don't value that very much. So anyway, so appreciate your support. Feel free to support us on our YouTube channel, or we have our one-off courses on our website, or we have our membership. You can come train with us at Fight Science MMA, or you can train with my buddy on the East Coast of the United States, John Strickland at American Hook Wrestling. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So, we're going to be here this year. Hopefully, we're going to be training even more once the fires are taken care of here in LA. And if you have any questions or if there's anything that you want to know more about with regards to catch wrestling and grappling and stuff, just comment down below, and then we'll check it out and we'll have something for you. All right, so yeah, let's keep on helping you to elevate your grappling so that we can keep real wrestling alive. See you next time.